I remember back in high school, there was this girl I wanted to ask out for ball, and I was going to text her, but then I kept overthinking the text. I was thinking, oh, what if she rejects me? Or what if it's kind of weird? And I would think about texting her all day. I would think about it for a couple of days. I would change it up and write a new one. I was thinking about it, but I didn't do anything, right? Then one day I told my friend about it, and he looked at me kind of stupidly, and he just grabbed my phone, sent the text message, hey, do you want to go to ball? And she replied, sure. It was that simple. That was it. That was all I had to do, was just write that one simple text message. And yet my brain was making this like a gigantic mountain. I was stuck in my head the entire time. That really, I was spending all this time procrastinating for this one little thing because of the fact that I was feeling scared, I was feeling nervous, I was feeling, a little bit inside of my head too much, right? I was overthinking. Really, this is what procrastination is, right? If you boil it down, this is what procrastination is. Procrastination isn't a time thing, because quite clearly, all I had to do was send a message. It's more of an emotional management issue. If you struggle with procrastination, this is the perfect video for you. I'll break down the step-by-step on how I overcame procrastination as an engineering student myself who, has seen the lows, but also the highs as well. The first thing I want to tell you again is that procrastination is not a time management issue. It's an emotional management issue. So you're not lazy, you're just emotionally overwhelmed basically. Because all the procrastination advice and your stupid teachers tell you, they say like, oh yeah, you just need to manage your time better or whatever, right? But they don't tell you how to actually do it properly. You create these timetables, but then you just don't follow them, right? You don't end up doing it, you just end up scrolling on your phone, right? What we need to tackle is the emotions themselves. From that step, we can then follow the timetable, right? That will allow us to actually become more disciplined. So a lot of the time, we have this emotion inside of our brain and we try to ignore it. And what do we usually do when we want to ignore an emotion, like uncertainty, like nervousness, like anxiety or whatever? We have this emotion and so we ignore it by, scrolling on our phone, right? We scroll to numb ourselves because I want to ignore this thought in my brain. I want to stop thinking about stuff for a while, right? And you do that, but then you get trapped in that for a couple hours. And then you have even less time to do the thing that you're supposed to do do the assignment, to ask out that girl, right? Like, simple as that, right? You've ignored it, but it's made the problem even worse, right? And so what we need to do is we need to actually tackle that feeling itself. We need to reduce that feeling, understand that feeling, become better able to handle that feeling, right? That fear, the anxiety, the thing that's holding us back. I'll talk even more about procrastination and mental health in my course below. Have a look at that, especially if you're an engineering student. But a lot of the time, this heightened sense of being like overwhelmed, emotionally overwhelmed, it's usually exacerbated by uncertainty, basically, right? So you have this fear, but it's an uncertain fear. And an uncertain fear is like really overwhelming, right? So like, let's say you're kind of scared of failing this exam, right? You're kind of scared of failing this test. And you have this test and then you don't really define anything. You just think like, you have this vague fear of like, oh yeah, I hope I don't fail, right? And if you couple that with uncertainty, that magnifies it so much bigger, right? If you think that this assignment is kind of hard, right? You think it's going to be really hard. And then you also haven't read the brief, you don't know anything about it. It's going to feel astronomically hard. You're going to imagine the worst case scenario. You're going to imagine it's going to take hours to do, so why even start now, right? Like, your brain will come up with a lot of bullshit, right? So those emotions are usually compounded by uncertainty and all that kind of thing. What we can do to reduce it is actually start to define it and cut through the uncertainty. Let's say you're scared about something. Let's say you're scared about failing an exam, right? Okay, if you fail an exam, what's going to happen? Well, technically, is your life going to be completely over? Is everyone going to completely hate you, right? Or is that even a realistic possibility, right? If you start to play it out and think about it more logically, it's like, is it actually that bad, right? If you fail an exam, let's say complete worst case scenario, you completely fail the exam. Is it the complete end of the world? Probably not, right? It is fixable. It's fixable as well. What about, I don't know, getting rejected by a girl, right? Like, you're getting rejected by a girl, she says no. you know, is she going to hate you for the rest of your life and everyone's going to laugh at you and on stage or whatever, right? Like, probably not. Some people might know about it, but if you actually think about the consequences and you think about and you define some of what's happening and you define some of the steps that you need to do, it's really not that bad. You realize that, oh yeah, to do this assignment, I just need to follow these steps. I just need to read the brief. I just need to do a bunch of past papers, right? You know, if I want to get an A+ in this subject, right, then all I have to do is practice the past questions and go through the slides, right? That's all I need to do. Simple as that, right? I just need to do like 5 years of past papers and I can pretty reasonably get an A, right? If you think about it in that way, then getting an A doesn't seem so hard, doesn't seem so intimidating, right? Compared to like, oh, I just need to study more, study more. This amount of uncertainty is part of the reason why, like, I think a lot of our timetables fail, because we're not specific enough. We haven't defined enough, right? We've created too much uncertainty. It's this uncertainty which is really holding us back, right? We're uncertain about fears, we're uncertain about ourselves and times and the task itself, right? So if you're sitting down, you should know what task you're working on. Not just like, oh yeah, I'm going to study. Yeah, tomorrow I'm going to study, right? Like, that's not a plan. That's a vague idea, right? Vague ideas become vague action. And honestly, from my own experience, you don't even do it if it's a vague plan, right? Vague plans become vague action. So in order to make it easier for yourself to cut through this procrastination, we can start to really define things, right? For example, if you're doing a timetable, instead of just thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to study, and that being your timetable, like that's not an actual plan. You need to define the time, what you're going to do, where you're going to do it, something like that, and it'll make it so much easier for you to actually do it. It removes the decision fatigue, it removes some of the wasted time thinking about what to do, when should I do it, all that kind of stuff. It removes so much friction as well from you actually doing it. And it'll make it so much easier for you to slip into it. So let's say you create a plan. Instead of saying, I'm going to study tomorrow, instead you could say, I'm going to study the Electrical Engineering 101 paper from 2023 tomorrow at 7 p.m. in the library, right? If you create that plan, it's so much more specific. It's so much more likely that you're actually going to do it. If even that task feels a little overwhelming, like doing a full past paper where you have to do 3 hours, what could you do? You could break it down step by step. Maybe you don't even need to do the paper itself. You could just open it up. You could just look at the questions, right? You could just print out the paper. You could download the paper, or maybe look at the first question, right? Maybe you set it so that you don't even have to do it. But all that matters is that you make it easy for yourself. You think, what can I do? What can I do? What am I going to do? And make it easy for yourself to actually do the first step. I talk even more about removing uncertainty and beating procrastination in the top link description below. Have a look at that. But remember, procrastination isn't a flaw. Procrastination is just your brain's natural way of dealing with uncertainty, trying to avoid it as much as possible. We just need to understand ourselves a little bit better, and we're better able to manage ourselves as well. So if there's something that you've been procrastinating that you know that you should be doing, pick one thing that you need to be doing and write down exactly when and where you're going to do it, how long you're going to spend doing it, how long you think it's going to take. Write down everything, when, where, what, or whatever, right? Create the plan and just do it. Make it as easy for yourself to start as possible. Just set the ball rolling, really. Just start a little bit. Once you've started the ball rolling, it's usually way easier after that. And it's actually probably even more enjoyable than you realize. So taking the first step really is just the hardest bit.